Okay, testing. Hello, everyone. Yeah, my name is Fisher. I'm the co-founder of a project called Babylon. And today, my topic is bring native Bitcoin collateral to Ethereum. Okay. Very quick question. Is there any Bitcoin hater here? No? Okay, good. Then we are friends. Then I'm safe. Okay. So, yeah. So Babylon is a Bitcoin project, and this is our first time entering the Ethereum space. So yeah, we are very curious to know more, everyone here. So because we are new, so a very quick overview of us. So yeah, our project was founded in year 2022 by Professor David Shea from Stanford University and myself. Yeah, both of us are from academia. And we are backed by ASIC-DNZ, Paradigm, Polychain, Easy Labs, yeah, all the famous VC you can name it. And our current team size is 40. We are a fully remote team with 25 nationalities. And our mission is to make Bitcoin productive in a trustless way. And we are most famous for our trustless Bitcoin staking protocol, which to date has activated over $10 billion worth of native Bitcoin. Yeah, and all the major exchanges and some very prudent international funds are the stakers of our protocol. But today I'm not going to talk about Bitcoin staking. I'm going to talk about a new protocol we are working on. So I will start. So the opinion here is, the argument here is, collateral is the foundation of finance. And my argument is Bitcoin is a pristine collateral. So what we are working on is to bring native programmable Bitcoin as a collateral for the Ethereum ecosystem. Okay. So start from the first one. Collateral is the foundation of finance. Why? Think about borrowing. Okay, borrowing and lending, you collateralize digital asset as a secure to borrow money. In terms of like option trades, perp trades, you collateralize some asset to have covered calls or covered put options. And then in the insurance industry, the insurance company collect premium, okay, but they cannot deploy all the premium for yield. They have to reserve, say, at least 50% of the cash they collected as a reserve to be just in case of the incident payment. So the reserve asset there is unusable, or they can only be used to buy like treasury bond, short-term treasury bond. So very low capital efficiency. So the reserve part of insurance is actually also can be viewed as a collateral. So collateral is the foundation of finance. Now next, I'm going to convince you why Bitcoin is the perfect collateral. So here I have a qualitative graph here. X-axis is the risk level of the deployment strategy. Y-axis is the yield. Yeah, so we're talking about the yield to return ratio here. Okay. We first look at stablecoin. Stablecoin, the almost zero risk return is roughly like 3-4%. Because of the US Treasury bond. And then, as you take more risks, the yield goes higher. And then we'll look at the ETH. ETH staking is the almost zero risk option. So its return is roughly 2%. Then, as you become more aggressive, you have higher yield. What about Bitcoin? Bitcoin, the safest option is Babylon's Bitcoin staking, which is roughly like 0.5% to 1%, much lower compared to the others. And also, you can see its trajectory, it's lower, which means for the same level of risk you take, the yield you can generate using a Bitcoin, it's actually lower. Why? This is because, like, compared to stablecoin, okay, stablecoin has better risk-reward ratio because of deeper liquidity on-chain, and also you have more use cases, right? Because stablecoin is a currency. So any financial applications can use stablecoin, but Bitcoin is not the case. Indeed, only 1% of the Bitcoin is currently used on-chain DeFi. 99% off-chain. So most of the Bitcoins are sitting there idle and counting on appreciation of its price. Okay, so Bitcoin is not a productive asset, which means it's actually the best collateral. For example, for the insurance case, instead of using cash as the reserve, if you can swap it with Bitcoin as the reserve, then the insurance company can have the 100% of the premium be productive and deployed for yield instead of only 50%. Okay, so our the goal of Babylon is to bring Bitcoin, which is a store of value, digital gold, idle asset, as the collateral asset for the Ethereum on-chain finance ecosystem to unlock the liquidity of all the other assets. Yeah. So basically, for Bitcoin holders, the best strategy for them is to collateralize Bitcoin to acquire stablecoin and then deploy stablecoin for yield. Okay. Not seeking direct Bitcoin yield, high risk, low return. And for DeFi applications, accept Bitcoin as a collateral will expand its customer reach. And for applications such as insurance, like I mentioned, swapping cash reserve with Bitcoin reserve will unlock a lot of liquidity and productivity for the cash reserve, for cash part. Okay, so Bitcoin collateralized for on-chain finance, it's what we do. But there's a challenge. The problem is called wrapping. Bitcoin chain is not Turing complete, it is not programmable. So in order to use Bitcoin on Ethereum chain, there's no like zero knowledge or light client based trustless bridge, okay? So for almost all the solutions, you actually have to give your native Bitcoin to a wrapper, or basically a multi-sig wrapper, and they print you a wrapped Bitcoin, such as WBTC, CBBTC, okay? The problem here, it's obvious. You have counterparty risk. It is not trustless. You're basically trusting a multi-sig gift card issuer. That is a gift card issuer, which is not good. So, because of this counterparty risk, the Bitcoin collateral will be at danger. So here I list a few questions which constitute a Bitcoin collateral risk assessment framework. So I'll quickly go through the questions you can ask to evaluate the risk associated with the Bitcoin collateral solution from both the Bitcoin holder side and also the on-chain DeFi application side. Okay. So we start with things that Bitcoin holders care about. First, it's assured access to the app. So the last thing Bitcoin holders want to see is that after they deploy the Bitcoin and the DeFi app say, no, I don't recognize you, I didn't receive it, then the Bitcoin got wasted, okay? Then the next one Bitcoin holders care about is no loss of title to their Bitcoin. Because in many jurisdictions, if you lose your title of Bitcoin by giving it to someone else, it triggers capital gain tax. And also there will be some complex compliance and accounting issue as well. Okay. Then also there are some questions that both Bitcoin holder and finance service providers care about. The most important one is called permissioned disposition, which means, you have a collateral to be used in a financial service, and at the end of the term, the system needs to decide whether the collateral is returned to the Bitcoin holder or it's liquidated or seized by a liquidator, right? So this process, this final disposition process, should be permissionless. There shouldn't be someone in the middle can press a button and say, hey, I changed my mind. No liquidation, no settlement. Okay, so permissioned disposition is the most important thing that both Bitcoin holder and the financial apps care about. Then, the next one, which is closely related, is that the disposition rules should be clear and enforceable. Right? It shouldn't be, someone changed their mind, so hey, I changed the LTV. overnight so that you can not be liquidated. Right. And the next one is unauthorized transfer and rehypothecation. This will make sure the collateral is correctly pledged to serve the precise purpose of that financial service. There's no hidden reuse of the collateral for something else, right? Okay, cool. Then there are also some things that Bitcoin holders don't care about, but the financial applications care about. The first one is to make sure each and every single position, like the borrowing position, is backed by one native Bitcoin, right? And then also for the Bitcoin locked on the Bitcoin chain. So basically, yeah, smart contract can program how Bitcoin will be collateralized and disposed at the end. So the idea behind it is that we use cryptographic translations to translate the smart contract decisions into something that the Bitcoin chain can understand and execute to achieve the full programmability. So it's based on our research from both Babylon Labs, Stanford, and Berkeley. Yeah, so that Bitcoin locked become programmable collateral for the smart contract. And yeah, I know that one is very technical, so this is the takeaway. Now, with the Babylon Bitcoin collateral vault solution, collateralizing native Bitcoin becomes as safe and trustless as collateralizing ETH. No difference. Okay, so yeah, this summer, we are going to launch the mainnet of our trustless BTC Vault protocol alongside with its first application, which is native Bitcoin-backed borrowing, brought to you by Aave and Babylon. Yeah, and we are also exploring Bitcoin yield marketplace with the workflow being borrow assets using Bitcoin and deploy to yield strategy. We are also incubating more use cases of native Bitcoin collateral in option and insurance, credit card, etc., and etc. Yeah, many use cases of native Bitcoin collateral. And yeah, that's all. Thank you very much. Do we have time for question? Or no? No, okay.